Welcome back to Record-ology. Hope you're doing good. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Trying to switch up my intro there a little bit. Hope you guys are having a good day. It is Memorial Day in the United States, where we remember those that have made the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And many of us also have the day off. If you're watching the repeat, which you probably are, if you're hearing this portion of the video, just hope you're having a good day. Sure, you can join us live, but these videos are designed to be watched later too. So just glad that you're here. A slower pace, a little bit longer than our regular videos, but hopefully just a time to hang out together. And yeah, so it's been over here at our household. It has been great. We've had family visiting, and that's the best thing in the world. So very, very, very thankful for that. Skip the survey. I'm watching Record-ology. That sounds like a good choice. As fun as surveys can be. Do you remember, I don't know if they still do this, years and years ago, my wife and I, for a short time, got hooked on doing surveys for money. You could just take surveys and they would pay you pennies, but you do enough of them and then you'd have quarters. And then you can buy a quarter tank of gas, 25 years ago. Don't know if they still do that. Maximilian, hello from Germany, my friend. Welcome in. So glad you are here. Glad you are all here, whether you're watching the replay or the live video. So yeah, we'll jump into the main topic of discussion here in a little bit. In the meantime, so I finished the CD player video, which many of you have seen at this point. It's right here. I do like it. I do like it. And yeah, it's somewhat of a stark contrast in sound quality between the the 1-bit DAC system that I have, in the Sony D131. But it's still good. And it's a lot of, this is a lot of product in this day and age. $10 is not what it used to be. Inflation has gone up considerably. Like, there's no way back in 1994 they could bring anything like this to market for less than $10. They probably couldn't even make that Sony D131 for $10. But this does. It's good. Yeah, it's not the best sounding DAC, but it's $10. It's like the price of a sandwich, a cheap sandwich at that. Speaking of that Sony 1-bit DAC, my CD carousel, my Sony CD carousel has a similar one. It's a little bit newer, but it has that 1-bit DAC system. By the later 90s, I think this is 90, I want to say 97, 98 on the CD carousel. This is a CDP CE345. By that era, they weren't putting the 1-bit DAC slogan or logo on everything at that point. It's a DAC attack. I'm here until AV Geek starts their show. Well, I'm glad to be second. Just kidding. Glad you're here. Yeah. So got that show done. That was sort of a surprise. I had, and I do have, a bunch of stuff, including record players that need reviews. But I just went down this rabbit hole, and I always allow this show to follow my own interests. It's part of the secret of being able to do this as long as I have, is that if I'm doing something I'm not interested in, it's not going to make for a good show. And the like is not, I won't be able to even get through filming it. So in order for me, I'm a very ADD person. I've started so many projects in my life, and follow through is not my strong suit. So the fact that the channel is still going, 8 years later, whatever, it's been over 8 years, thousands of videos, surprised everybody, not least of which myself. So anyway, so all that said, I had this little spike of interest in cheap CD players, and I'm like, I wonder what the cheapest CD player out there is. And it was this $10 guy right here. Apparently, I bought the last one in stock. So I don't know if sometimes Amazon will cut prices to clear stock. I don't know exactly how their pricing works, but this has popped up again. I put the link to the one that's available now for like $25, which is more in line with where a lot of entry-level price CD players kind of start. And something I didn't mention in the video, I probably should have. Even if you were to take price out of the equation, just on build quality and features or lack thereof, This is not the cheapest CD player. This is better and way more fully functioned than like the Tyler CD player that we reviewed. Sold under, I think Jensen sells the same thing under a different brand name. This too is SUNY is the store that's selling it now, or the brand, but this was something with a G branded that we saw. It is the CD-20. I think they use the same model number, but you'll see a very generic label under there. Yeah, branding isn't what it used to be, guys. It's not what it used to be. So I've got a ton of record players, not a ton. I have a few record players that are waiting to be reviewed and some other products as well. I have decided that I need to do a show or at least a post in the community post section, kind of listing out the ridiculous offers I get, because every night, overnight, Chinese companies contact the show via email and they say, hey, we've got this. First of all, it's always, we're a huge fan of the channel and we have a product for you to review that I think would be great for your audience. Trust me, I'm a big fan. And sometimes it's believable. Sometimes it's not. I've got some very weird products that I don't think are a good match for our audience. It's kind of weird. So I got a lot of shows lined up is what I'm trying to say. So I definitely think the older CD player has a warmer sound, but for $10 you can't complain. Exactly, Maximilian. That is very, very true. Absolutely. What products? Record players. So I've got some record players. I've got some new high-end, high-ish end for us, high-low end headphones, which the headphone videos don't do great, but sometimes I can't help myself. What else do we have coming? Some other stuff too. I didn't even remember off the top of my head. Do you have your own classroom cassette player? Is the problem the take-up spindle? I got rid of that a couple of years ago when we moved to Florida from Denver. I either sold or donated that. That was the Sharp Classroom cassette player. Huge, over-engineered beast of a machine. I had forgotten about that. I never did quite figure out. It was probably a loose belt on the take-up spool, would be my guess, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, so I wanted to. Yeah, that's probably what it was. It was probably a belt. I got dehydrated yesterday, so I've been sipping water all day. All right, I want a calophone. Yeah, it wasn't a mine was a Sharp. Yours is a calophone. That's cool. I would love to have a calophone. So I was a child of the 80s or 90s. Graduated high school in the 90s. Began my professional career in the 90s. Just to give you some rough context of my age. I have grandkids. I have kids. Probably young for both, but I'm incredibly grateful for both. Anyway, all that to say this. I wasn't old enough, I don't think, at least our school district that I went to in Colorado, we did not have classroom record players. I don't remember ever hearing a record played at school. I went through the public school system, but I remember extensively these little shoebox tape players set up in a little half circle table in many different grades and classes, not just one, but all the way from kindergarten on up. I remember these little listening stations, and I've looked up to see what kind of tape players they were. I don't have a strong memory in my mind of the tape player. Mostly it's the headphones that I remember. The tape players could have been caliphones or telex, or is it telex? I'm not sure exactly what brand the tape players were, but I remember vividly the headphones were this blue and white plastic, somewhat flexible, but so tight they would just squeeze your brains out of your head. It's so painful to wear, even on my little kid-size Record-ology head. And I remember those, they sounded terrible. There was no cushioning or anything. It was just this hard plastic. And they had 1/4-inch headphone jacks, and they plugged into these shoebox cassette players. And it was, educational material. We're not sitting there listening to David Bowie or something. Well, that was random. I'm not even a David. I mean, David Bowie's fine. I'm just not. That wouldn't have been what my first choice was. Michael Jackson in that era. Although I didn't really even start listening to like music till, I don't know. I wasn't. I don't know what I would have been listening to at that age. My first like big music artist that I got into was Michael Jackson. Well, no, it was Oak Ridge Boys when I found my dad's Elvira single. And they took me to the concert. I fell asleep until they played Elvira. Then I woke up. But anyway, it was educational stuff that they were playing. And I just was never, I was like, it's not fun. I never looked forward to going to the audio station. I'm like, great, I'm going to have my head squeezed off with these terrible headphones. Headphones in general, even my dad at home, his headphones, I remember thinking they're so industrial looking. It wasn't like, ooh, this listening cool experience. Like, these wonderful Habit Bluetooth ones. Oh, they're so cozy. Oh yeah, man, they sound good. They look a lot better than the ones did back then. But back in that era, I never enjoyed headphones. I never enjoyed the listening station. The tapes it was rough, whatever we were listening to. It wasn't like I was like, man, this is great. Shoebox players, about the uncoolest tape player. I still kind of think that, but very utilitarian. But yeah, I know Caliphone was huge. I remember 16 millimeter projectors extensively, sometimes with the tape player synced up to it. And I never ran the projector. I was in AV club, though, I think. I was in chess club for like a day. So I was a nerd, still am. I mean, that's no big surprise. But I never, it was a 16 millimeter film projectors when I was younger, transitioning to VHS on these big, tall, metal black carts with big 27-inch Sony Trinitron CRTs on top. That was when it came to school media. That's kind of what I remember most. Do I still have the 68 Sears? Yes, I do have that. I love that thing. It is so cool. Predates the word cassette. It says tape cartridge player on it. I love that thing. Works flawlessly. Good. You guys got a good memory. Appreciate you knowing all this stuff. Hearing a beep and having to put your hand up. Yep. Caliphone 306 8AV. Is that the one? Because I thought the ones that I was remembering were Telex. Hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, the Caliphone ones kind of looked like something my dad had, but these were like blue and white Telex vintage headphones. Yes. Oh, these were awful. Telex 610. Yeah. Look up a Telex 610 dual ear mono earphone. Earphone. And the cord, I remember the cord. It was this white. It was the same. I don't know. There's probably a term. I'm sure there's a term for it. It was this white. Whatchamacallit? Cord that was like a power cord. Like it had the little split down the middle of it. It was like an AC power cord, and on the end of it was a 1/4-inch mono TRS. It was so awful. So awful. I had to pick a pair of those up. I wish I could find the exact model of a tape player that they were using. Maybe there's a couple. I remember buying cassette singles at Tower Records. Yes, good old Tower Records. Cassette singles, the Cassingle. And I bought a lot of cassette singles because I was always before I've had this, there was this whole metamorphosis. I've talked about it. If anybody wants to hear the story, let me know. Most of you probably heard it 30 times by now. But I had this major metamorphosis. Is that the right term? A big change in my musical tastes. And I went from, rap and rock, pop, and switched to big band music, vintage music in a big way. Now I've sort of mellowed out and I listen to a little of everything. which you guys can probably tell in some of the stuff I share. But I remember back before I was, listening to a lot of big band music, that there was always one good song on the album, maybe two, and the rest was filler, in my opinion. And an album was expensive, whether it was on cassette or CD. And that's where singles or CD singles a little bit later were a saving grace. But I remember sometimes the song that you wanted wasn't a single. And it's like, why didn't they put the good song on the single? The single would be song I didn't like. So, but yeah, because singles. Old radios. Autocorrect gotcha. I do that all the time, man. Small me. For me, it was the cart with the TV VHS. Never watched 60mm film in class, but remember still had film strips once in a while. That and extensive transparency slides, man. Did you guys have transparency slides? To those of you that are younger than me, so much transparency slides. Once or twice, one of the teachers would whip out the LCD transparent screen that would hook up to a computer and then lay on top of an overhead and basically turn the overhead projector, the transparency projector. We called it the overhead, but it would turn one of those transparency overhead projectors into essentially an LCD projector, because it would be a transparent LCD slab about that thick. They would lay on top of it and it would reflect on the projection screen. A lot of that stuff. Okay, now that we're on this school kick, do you remember having handouts in this weird blue and white ink? There was blue ink on a white paper, and it was like cheaper than a photocopy. They would like roll them off. It was like a cheaper way to do print offs, basically. We use those so much, man. Oh my gosh, so much. I used to get so tired of looking at that fake pale blue ink that when we actually got something with black ink, it felt like a luxury. Steve says, I looked up that telex. I do remember how awful those things were. Yeah, the Caliphone ones looked better. Those telex ones, man, they were brutal. And I always wondered if the little, because the how do I describe this? The edge, the very edge that touched your head was like a thinner piece of rubberized plastic that had kind of a curl up to form a cup. And I always wondered if it was originally, like when they were new, was it softer? And then over time it just hardened? But it was as hard as a rock by the time, we had those. Public school, there was plenty of leftover 70s stuff by the late 80s. Oh, that's funny, old radios about the baby crying. Interesting. I'm sure we did something like that too. Paul says, I remember at school in the UK in the 70s, we had French lessons on reel-to-reel tapes with a book that each child had to go along with it. Interesting. Yellow Sony Walkmans. I always wanted one of those sports Walkmans. It was like high end. I saw Techmon's video, of course. I feel like putting a disclaimer in front of every video I've ever done. Yes, I know Techmon has already done this. I try to do things. I've done things he hasn't done, but a lot of times people are like, oh, Techmon's done that. Of course he has. He's been doing this for, a long time. By the way, thank God. So glad to see him looking and feeling, sounding better. But I remember the video he did on the Sony Walkman, the yellow ones, the sports ones, how they were leaking a little bit. Oh, that's so cool already. That's interesting. Alex says, I've been seeing those CD players that look like record players, but they play CDs. It's called a rechargeable CD. But yeah, Alex, we reviewed like 2 or 3 of them. They're fun. The tone arm is the switch to turn it on. They're fun. It's like a suitcase record player, but for CDs. They're fun. I mean, it's a bit of a form over function kind of a situation. Like, I think people would do that Definitely not because those are the best CD players, but because they look cool and they worked fine. I mean, they sounded okay. You can hook. They have headphone jacks and line out jacks maybe, but yeah. If you're interested in them, check them out. I had like 3 of them. I think I did. I think I still have 1 or 2. I gave away 1 or 2 of them. Overhead projectors, yeah. Yes, those transparent LCD displays. Mimeograph? Yeah. Overhead projectors at school in the 2000s in Germany. Yeah, by the time I was in college, it was LCD projectors, VGA resolution, mounted to the screen in the ceiling in the pull down screens or the automatic screens. Interesting. Wow, Mike worked at Telex for 27 years. Those Telex headsets were built by Glencoe MN. Also, Telex made cassette recorders and high-speed tape duplicators, both reel-to-reel, cassette-to-cassette. Wow, that's cool, dude. So, Mike, tell me answer the question of whether or not the edge of the ear cups, were they originally soft or were they always rock hard? That's really cool. Yes, I can remember the smell of that ink too, Randy. That's funny. VHS films with TV on a trolley. Yep. Right. Yeah. The tracking was always off. And if they brought a worksheet with it, you were doomed. It ruined the movie or the show. It was always like how long. I remember when it was filmed, when they would roll out the film projector, which for me, my age, that was like up through 5th or 6th grade. And then everything after that was VHS. Excuse me, I didn't mean to spit on you. But yeah, they can never get the tracking right. And then they brought out a worksheet. You're like, oh, man, I have to pay attention. I actually like the films. Sorry, I've been fighting some allergies the last 24 hours. I actually liked watching the films, but I felt like I couldn't get into it because I was paranoid about getting all the questions right. Then usually they would just read them aloud in class, and there'd be one kid that had everyone right. That's right, Tommy. Absolutely. And everybody's like, okay, all right, thank you. Or it's, trading answers. I never did that, of course. Techmoan is the best. He is a great guy and a great channel. Agreed. Telex had 16 millimeter projectors too. Interesting. Oh, a chalkboard. Okay, yeah. So chalkboards, the blackboards. Remember the brown chalkboards? Did anybody have brown chalkboards? Those are kind of weird. Green. I didn't know we'd be going like back down memory lane of school. It's kind of fun though. Telex bought Singer 16 millimeter. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I need to check that one out. The tricorder video. That's cool. Going to AV Geeks in a couple of old videos. We'll miss you, man. Oh, yeah. I remember that too. And the kids were cruel. The kids were cruel. TV VCR systems, yeah. They were cool. Mike says the headset ear pads were soft. They made both mono and stereo models. That's so cool, Mike. That's so cool. Do you have anything that you kept over the years that you still have? Excitement of getting to watch a movie in class, only to have the teacher handing out a mimeograph. Yeah, your handout, exactly. And I remember when it was films, I remember looking back and being like it was all about how much time of the class was going to be spent. It's so funny to think back on these thoughts, our small little problems that we had, relatively speaking, back then. I remember, like, if the class was, say, an hour long, 50, I think class back then was like, well, it depends, because we started doing periods, like switching rooms and walking down the hallway to a different classroom for a different subject in, like, 7th grade or so. So by then it was mostly like VHS for us. But I remember, and those classes were short. They're like 50 minutes, and then a 9-minute passing period, and then another 50-minute class. And we did like a lot of those, 7 of those throughout the day. Anyway, so thinking back to the films, I remember when there was it was like 2 o'clock and school got out at, say, 3 o'clock. And you'd look back, they'd roll in a film projector. Everybody's like, oh, yes, a movie. We're going to watch a movie. Didn't matter what it was about. It could be anything. Just the fact the lights went down and there was a movie. It was something about that was very relaxing, and everybody loved it. At least I did. But I remember looking back, and I'm like, my first thought was, how big of a film reel is it? Because if it was a little film reel, I'm like, oh, that's 10, 15 minutes tops. That's 10, 15 minutes tops. We're still going to have to do an assignment or something after that. But if it was like the end of the day, you look over your shoulder and there's like one of them big 60-minute reels on there. Oh, you were in heaven. Or sometimes they'd roll in 2 films. That was good, man. Yeah. Green chalkboards. Yeah, primarily ours were green. That's so cool, Mike. I need to find one of those. I'd like to get my hands on one again someday. I'll have to get one on eBay or something. That's neat. Thanks for telling me about that. That's so cool. Dark green chalkboards in the UK. And then, yeah, but I feel like by 7th, 8th grade, chalkboards were pretty much gone from the system, and it was grease boards. Dry erase. And then by the time my kids were in school, oh, they had smart boards and all this stuff. It was so fancy. I was like, what? We only watched bad movies in school. Picnic at Hanging Rock was a good movie. That's wild. I wonder if we were to see some of those films. I'm sure there's a group of people that collect those things. I have 16 millimeter and 8 millimeter projectors. I need to do more videos on that stuff. I've released a couple of videos, shot a few more, but I need to do more in the projectors if people want to watch that. I think it's fun. I think it's fascinating. Funny. Okay, so as a payoff for the title of this video, I said I had a weird new obsession. So, of course, it's a family-friendly obsession. This is very interesting. I was bored one day, a couple weeks ago maybe, and I was like, I want something different to listen to. I want something that's kind of ambient in the background, something I don't have to think about. I don't want to do any critical listening. I just want to be able to work and listen to this in the background. So I was rummaging through my tapes, and I found this. I'm going to take it out of the case so it's not reflective. This is really going to surprise you probably, but what? It's May. What are you talking about? An American Christmas. We wish you Merry Christmas. God rest you, merry gentlemen. Carols, right? These aren't even like pop renditions or anything, right? And I put this bad boy on, and it's just, I told my wife, I'm like, this has to either be your mom's or my mom's tape. That's, I mean, I don't think my dad or her dad would listen to this necessarily. Maybe, I don't know, but, and I put it on, and I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. It was just, in fact, I'll play some for you. It's just cheesy. This is 1995, by the way. Here, let's start by listening on the Yamaha. Let me fast forward it. It's really cheesy. This kind of stuff. You get the idea. This is not cool Christmas music. Is there cool Christmas? This is not. This is, I'm pretty sure these were sold at the Walgreens checkout line by the counter in a little box for impulse buying. $3.99 Christmas tape, and but somehow I liked it more than I probably should have. I've been listening to this thing off the hook, and this kind of goes, oh, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We saw those guys finally. It's an amazing show. Listen to this thing. I've been wearing it out. So I had to look it up. I'm like, what is this? Anything I get interested in, I research. Okay, so this is a go with me here moment. You'll notice that the card is blank. This is ultra cheap. Okay. By the way, it is Dolby encoded, surprisingly. Well, not surprising. Everything was Dolby. This is 95 by the Special Music Company, a division of Essex Entertainment, manufactured and distributed by Essex Entertainment Inglewood, California, Inglewood Cliffs, New Jersey, excuse me, printed in the USA. Special Music Company. The logo kind of looks like Sony Special Music. It's going to be hard to see, but right there. FSX. So I looked this up. I went on Discogs. I looked into it. And apparently they just sold. It was all like, do you remember Madison Music Group or Light? What was it? Light. I always talk about this label too. How do I not know? Light. Digital something. What the heck is it? Hold on a second, guys. I have a million CDs by these guys. I should know the name of it. Come on, what is it? I need something like. How do I not have this? I have a million CDs. Laser Light Digital. Thank you. Laser Light Digital. Laser Light Digital. Laser Light. Anyway, do you remember Laser Light Digital and Madison? It was all. Sorry, I went off I went down a rabbit hole. I do that. That's all I do. It's a rabbit hole. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Show. Yes. Hey Tim, welcome in. Welcome in everybody. By the way. Oh yeah, this is Christmas cheese. Yes, probably from the people that brought you the Jingle Cats, the Barking Dogs, all that good stuff. Bootleg cassette tapes at swap meets. Yeah, tapes are a whole thing. Tapes are a whole thing. By the way, that's really cool about the Telex Odyssey headset. I'm going to look that up right now. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Interesting. It does look vaguely familiar. Excuse me. Interesting. You know it's going to be a good listening experience when it's called a headset, not headphones. Anyway, along the same vein as those very budget labels, I think that we have here, probably even a step below that, Special Music Company, probably impulse selling these cassettes right at the counter. You know, while you're, at Radio Shack checking out, and there's a box. I wish I could find that'd be so cool to find the advertising box to go with it. So I've been listening to Stay Off the Hook. I looked it up on Discogs. There's pretty much nothing. They did apparently a bunch of compilation albums like best of this person, best of that person. Who knows the licensing side of it. There's also a very strange logo of this kid sitting Indian style, cross-legged there. I guess we're supposed to say now. Special Music Company, 1985, licensed from blah, 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 blah. Special Music Company, a division of Essex. And that's about it. No information about the artist. And I did some Chat GPT about it. Chat GPT thinks that these were session musicians that were put together for the purpose of recording this, for the purpose of selling cheap-ass tapes. It says on the back, An American Christmas is a fresh new, 1995, is a fresh new recording featuring 30 musicians and 10 vocalists playing your favorite Christmas music in a classic America sing-along style. Mitch Miller, maybe? Kind of Mitch Miller-ish, which I could see that. I could hear that. And that's it. There's no mention of the artist. And it sounds like a pickup band of sorts. And they all kind of sound like that. Very sing-song. But it's upbeat. It's pleasant. I don't know. I just like it. I shouldn't like it as much as I like it. And this is something that would be fodder at a thrift store or an antique store or something. You would just people probably have these laying around. By the way, if you have any tapes by Special Music, Christmas tapes specifically, by Special Music Productions or whatever, what did I say? Special Music Company, let me know because I'm interested. So Discogs had very little information, but I looked on eBay and they're kind of all over eBay. If you type in Special Music, I'm like, what else is there? Because I'm obsessive and I have to collect things, and so where this is going. So I got another one. I looked at the different ones, and the American Christmas, very cool. That got me hooked. Then I decided I want this one. Again, I'm going to pull it out of the case. This one's a little older. Same company, Special Music Production. But this is 1988. Happy Holidays. Look at that picture. That is so 80s. I love it. Look at that. Those people look like they're in every Wrigley's gum commercial. Look at that. Now, from a design standpoint, these two don't really bear any resemblance. There's no similarity. But there are a bunch that look like this, with a red frame and a green oval at the bottom that says something. Special holiday favorites in this scenario right here. Dolby B, clear cassette shell. This one has a little, it's like frosty white printing they put on here. Little Christmas tree. Copyright Special Music. I keep forgetting that. Special Music Company. And this one, same thing. White J card. Happy Holidays. The best of the best in contemporary pop renditions of Christmas favorites. Again, 1988. From Up on the Housetop to Jingle Bells to Deck the Halls, you will be dancing with delight through the holiday season. Can you imagine what that must have looked like? And let's listen to this one too. Pop renditions. Whereas the other one was a classic sing-along style. This one is pop renditions. Pop at the time would be Michael Jackson, Madonna, In Excess, stuff like that. Some of it vocals, most of it instrumental. Recordings are fine. And I love this one too. It's like $6-7, including shipping. I'm having fun with this, you guys. And there's like 4 or 5 other ones in this series. I'll probably get those too. But anyway, so I looked this up. This one, there's no record of this anywhere on Discogs or anything else besides that one American Christmas one, I think. So like there's very little I'm sure it's very copyright friendly for the use in YouTube. Testing. I should use these as testing. I drive everybody nuts though. I don't want to drive everybody nuts listening to Christmas music in May. But I do. I listen to Christmas music year round. I had this on the boombox yesterday. My wife's like, really? Really? Laser Light was top notch compared to Madison. I agree. Laser Light. I like a lot of Laser Light stuff, but I listen to a lot of that kind of music. I listen to a lot of big band music. I listen to a lot of, stuff that was on Laser Light. I was like telling the story. Probably the only gold record that actually went platinum that was ever issued to begin with on Laser Light Digital was the Glenn Miller Christmas. What was it? Glenn Miller In the Christmas Mood. There went on to be like 3 of them. But yeah, that went gold, and then I think platinum on the Laser Light label, which is kind of funny. Hey, Paul, my friend, welcome in. Sounds like a backing track for Andy Williams' Christmas shows. Exactly. This is like kind of like mall music during the holidays. Yeah, I agree. Session musicians. Check out at the discount store. $5 a copy, if that. $3.99, maybe even $2.99. What tape player are you using? This is the Yamaha KX390. It's a 2-head deck, single well. I love this thing. It's perfect. It's perfect. Dolby B. It's got a MXP for radio recording. It's got HX Pro, Dolby B and C noise reduction. Although I don't use Dolby for the most part, unless it's encoded in Dolby. These sound really bright as it is, so you definitely want that Dolby turned on. But it's got a play trim adjustment, so I can adjust like the EQ a little bit that way. Makes great recordings. I love this thing. This was I upgraded several years, $7, $10 or something at the thrift store. eventually replaced my Pioneer that I had, which was also like $10. Sounds like it's all synthesized instrumentation, and that's very possible too, Steve. That's very, especially that second tape sounded like that. I also think it's funny. You got cheap music when they talk about the number of singing people and instruments instead of the artist names. 30 musicians and 10 vocalists. You never heard of any of them, but that doesn't bother me really, because you know what? I think, okay, I'm going on a soapbox here for a minute. I think that the music industry, celebrity culture, pop culture, is a system that prescribes who's going to be popular, who's going to make it, and I feel that doesn't necessarily mean they're the best. So there's incredible musicians that are never famous, or never going to be famous, never were famous, but are very good and could have been famous if they were chosen. You know what I mean? These don't even look like slightly related. They're not the same color red. They're not the same font. They don't even, the Happy Holidays one doesn't even have the logo like the other one does. Of course, one's from 88, one's from 95, but I like these. And that's kind of a weird thing to be interested in. I don't know. I like it. I'm enjoying it. Also, my ChatGPT thing, apparently I use it too much because it starts making suggestions like, hey, you should probably digitize those, because when they wear out, there's probably not going to be a lot of places you can listen to that again if you wanted to. So I digitized the American Christmas one. I still need to do the other one. But yeah, there it is. That's what I put in the thumbnail. That was what I've been sort of interested in lately. It's kind of been a bit of a rabbit hole. Aside from that, I have a friend of mine suggested upgrading the cartridge on the Victrola Respin record player, which I really like that. It has a funky white ceramic cartridge that's kind of designed to make it look at a glance like it's a magnetic, but it's really a ceramic. And it's just as the same as the CZ800 types. But I decided to put the Bampa flip cartridge that a viewer sent in to me. And he sent in the extra stylus, because apparently the Bampa flip cartridges are shipping with 2 microgroove styli instead of 1 microgroove and 1 wide groove 3mm styler, which is weird because the whole point of the Bampa flip cartridge is a flip from microgroove over to wide groove so you can play 78s the proper way. Isn't that weird? Why do they do that? So when I reviewed the Bampa flip cartridge, I was disappointed because didn't sound any better. So he sent me another one, and a friend of mine, or a viewer on here, and very generous, had given us a bunch of stuff to the channel for review, and an extra stylus. So I put that on the Respin. It was a little tricky to put on. It was a little fussy, but I'm making a short about that, and so I'm working on that. I'm still trying to decide if even the replacement stylus that was sent really has the wide groove stylus, because it still sounds a little noisy for what it should with the proper stylus. Like this Sonotone 3mm stylus cartridge set up on that thing sound exponentially cleaner. So I don't know, we'll see. So that video is in progress. Big videos in production, pre-production on the next big video. Some other things coming here and there. Exactly. Christmas tapes free with a fill-up. It's something exactly. Send in its cereal box top for a free family Christmas album. A Christmas album for the whole family. Yeah, exactly, Steve. I mean, it can be used for that. I will sit there and listen to them. But I'm weird like that. I'm a Christmas nut. I have always loved Christmas. By the time I was taking over duties of mowing the lawn from my dad, I was also taking over duties of decorating the entire house for Christmas, setting up the Christmas tree, which was much bigger than me. And I still do. I still own that process. My son didn't put up a Christmas tree last year, and I don't know how I feel about that. I just tease it. But seriously, I love, 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 love Christmas. And if I let on to you how much I love it, it would probably be a turnoff to most people wanting to watch the channel because I listen to the music way more. I have a section of Christmas music, not huge, but I have a Christmas music. I like it. I listen to it a lot. So anyway, that was my weird kind of rabbit hole that I've gone down lately. Record players that I'm currently listening to. People always want to know that. So up here for the 78s, the 49 Philco. I still have the Sony LX310 BT down here on my right-hand side, just as an easy automatic. And then over here on the left, I've got still the SLB5, which is the automatic changer, the Technics changer. I have, like I said, been using the respin extensively. I want to use, up on the bookshelf, I've got my Cool Geek vertical turntable, and then some new transcription discs, some AFRS discs from World War II that I want to digitize and test out. So probably doing some content on that. I did a reorg of one of my storage units recently, and in the process lost my giant 32-ounce jug of Spin Clean formula. And I have been doing a lot of ultrasonic cleaning of records since then, as I kind of, because you don't need solution with ultrasonic cleaning, waiting for that to turn up, and it never has turned up. So I finally bit the bullet. I bought a new jug of the cleaner. It's not cheap, but it's the best. It's alcohol free. It really works good. I've also decided I'm not a fan of ultrasonic cleaning as much as I thought I would be. I thought that would be the cat's meow, night and day difference to spin cleaning, and I actually think the spin clean gets a cleaner. I really do. I know there's something about having some detergent, some sulfectant or sulfactant action going on with the water and the solution there that it makes does something more than just the vibrating of the water. Now, people are probably going to say you're just wrong on that. Maybe it's because I probably only have experience with the world's cheapest ultrasonic cleaner. So maybe if I had a good one, quote unquote good one, a higher end one, a more expensive one, that I would change my tune on that. But the one I've had, it was okay. It was like, if me, it was like this. If this was the level of clean that you get with the spin clean, it was kind of like this. Maybe a little bit less. I felt there's more residues being left behind. It was definitely cleaning, but the records sound better and they're less crackly on the spin clean. And it is a little harder to use. I mean, it's not hard to use, but you have to sit there and you have to do the work versus just set it and forget it. But there's something to be said about the friction of those cleaning pads and the action of a detergent in place. I got really close to releasing a Record-ology branded record cleaning solution. I may still do that. I like the idea of that. It would be alcohol-free, safe for your 78s or vinyl records. It would be multi-purpose. You could use it with just a cloth, or you could add it to your spin clean solution or whatever you want to do. So toyed with that, but I kind of freaked myself out a bit on the regulations on chemicals, selling chemicals. I thought initially I could basically obtain or create a formula and then package it and sell it just as easy as that. And I think you have to register MSDS things or something. I'm not sure. So I'm looking into that. Hey, Steve, I'm glad to hear it, my friend. Isn't that a great album? I'm glad you enjoy it. That is a great album. We love giving away stuff on this channel. It's something we've always tried to do. You know, I just enjoy it. It's like what I do. Tim says he makes his own cleaning fluid and uses the record vac to clean records. It's so fast and works great. I've heard a lot of good things about the record vac. So, and again, that's just what my personal experience is at this point. But yeah, it does take more time to do the spin clean. People sometimes say, what are you talking about? It takes 3 seconds. But usually for me, it's like I kind of wait until I have a bunch of records that are ready to clean, like maybe 10 at least. And then, you spend enough time, you get it set up, that's 10 minutes. And then you spend some time cleaning each record. I also usually use that opportunity to re-sleeve inner and outer sleeves on the records, or do any other repair to the jacket that needs to be done. So it ends up being a minimum of an hour, whether it's 2 records or 10. It's a minimum of an hour, usually a couple hours. So when my wife sees me laying out towels on the kitchen counter, she's like, "Oh man, are you cleaning records again?" Yep, I am. One thing I do love that I got with that ultrasonic cleaner was the drying rack. I really love the drying rack. It's really cool to just vertically stack them and let them air dry. There's some sort of a drying agent in that cleaner, which again is another benefit of just using water and ultrasonic, because as soon as you turn it off, it's just water. So imagine, something lifting up through water. Anything that you have, dirt-wise, gunk-wise, hairs, whatever that came off that record in the ultrasonic cleaner, they have to lift out of. And the same thing for the spin clean, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it. But it seems like there's more residue and things left behind. Whereas if I use a spin clean with a solution, there's some sort of a drying agent. It's not alcohol. Alcohol is not good to have in your record cleaning solution for the most part. I think for spray cleaners, it's probably okay in moderate usage, but especially 78, you don't want to get any alcohol near a 78 because it's bad for it, bad for the shellac. Also, I'm always going to say, this is my PSA to people that are thinking about doing this or just don't know. Never put a 78 or thick, even a 200 gram record. I wouldn't even, a 180 gram record, just be careful with, I would say. But super thick records, especially 78s, don't try to clean them in the spin clean. It's too tight. You will break records. I have broken 78s doing that. Yeah, and I haven't even gone down the road of vacuum cleaning, so I'm sure. Yeah, and they pay $1,000. It's like you can spend. There's people ready to take your money for everything, but the spin clean works. There's nothing wrong with it. I don't know what could be. Maybe the other things would be easier, but the spin clean is an amazing situation. It's an amazing solution to cleaning. It makes it sound better. I really feel it cleans out deep in the grooves. It's not just spin clean it and it instantly fixes it, but it's an effective tool. And the reason why I say that is if you have a really gunked up record, one trip on the spin clean is probably not going to be enough. Maybe a combination of the ultrasonic and the spin clean, multiple trips on the spin clean. A case in point is my first Patsy Cline record. Don't worry, I'm not going on a Patsy Cline kick, but the Showcase album, my very first one. It looked good. It had that rainbow sheen. It looked clean, but you put it in, and oh my goodness, this is one of the noisiest, dirtiest sounding records. It was pulling up. The needle was scraping out crap. It was a filthy record, but it was all deep down in the groove, and you couldn't see it to the naked eye. So I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll spin clean it, and that'll fix it. So I put it through spin clean. Didn't make any difference. I'm like, what? Spin clean does everything. It cleans so well. But it wasn't working. It wasn't doing it. And I was still pulling gunk out. It was so, I don't know if the thing spent 30 years in mud and dried out and spent another 30, I don't know what happened. But the needle was still pulling out gunk. It got better over time. Then I put it back in the spin clean, and I'm going to give it a super spin clean. So instead of turning, you're supposed to turn the record 3 times one way and then rotate it 3 times the other way. And that's the full spin clean process. But what I did this time was I was like scrubbing it because those brushes are fixed in the basin. So I was like grabbing the record and I would like scooch it back and forth a little bit all the way around. Somebody's tuning into this video right now for the first time, like, what's going on? It just really scrubbed that thing, scrubbed it. I took out cloths and I manually sprayed it and scrubbed with the cloth. And it took multiple spin cleans, multiple playthroughs to get it fully cleaned out. Now it plays like a dream. It's perfectly clean. That's an exception, though. That's the only record that I haven't been able to throw on the spin clean and have it be a night and day difference, a truly night and day difference. I wasn't able to get the fingerprints off of the 57 debut album either. That's the Styrene record. So I held on to it till I got my hands on ultrasonic. I'm like, here we go. Ultrasonic's going to fix it. Ultrasonic couldn't get those fingerprints off either. come to find out, people think that those are leech marks from the plastic or something leaching through damage to the grooves that looks like fingerprints, and maybe at one time were, but are now fused or part of the record. You thankfully can only see it during looking at certain angles, but anyway, spin clean. That's still my recommended way. I feel that a cloth and some spray does nothing, because especially if it's a microfiber cloth, I don't know what they're thinking about saying, oh yeah, comes with a cleaning kit, which is a microfiber cloth. A microfiber cloth isn't going to do anything. It's flat. How is that supposed to get down in the groove? That's not going to get down in the groove. You have to have something. Well, when I say micro, I'm talking about a smooth microfiber, like the kind you clean your glass lenses with. You have to have a velour kind of texture, like this brush. It's kind of dusty, but this like velvety with the there's like little pieces that stick up, go down in the groove. A cloth that has like that kind of texture is much better. But hand cleaning isn't as good as the spin clean, because it's so much friction and it's so evenly distributed that it's just premium. I just love it. I think it works the best. I really do. So what's on your guys' mind? That's about all I had. So if you guys have any questions or anything you want to know about, any ideas, suggestions, tell me what you're into, looking for, what's up next in your world. It's coming up with your week. Hope you guys have a great week. It's Monday already. We are honoring our veterans that have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation today here in the United States. It's Memorial Day. Oh yeah, Carpenter Christmas albums. Those are great too. Do the spin clean, Steve. And there's other brands that I would say are probably the same. Like there was I think we reviewed the Crosley one. It was fine. It was the same thing, basically. It's just, all it is two felt pads, like padded felt pads. If I had it right near me, I'd show you, that are pressed up against each other, that it holds the record tight. And then there's these rollers on the side, and you put them in different positions depending on the size of the record. They're out here for 12-inch records. You sit the thing down in there, it's filled up right below the label with fluid, and then you rotate it one way and the other way 3 times, and then it dries. That's it. You use a little cloth to dry it as it comes out. You can get a rainbow sheen on a record that looks so dull and worn out. Plus, you'll be blown away about what comes out of it in the water. I'm always like, what the heck? Also, fun fact, the reason why they're yellow is because it helps highlight the dirty water. I guess it's kind of like vacuums with clear canisters are designed to show you the dirt, so it looks like it's more productive. It's the exact same thing with the spin clean. It highlights the dirt in the water better, the hairs, and it'll blow you away, dude. You can put a clean record on the spin clean and be like, wow, I didn't realize how bad off this was. And if it's colored vinyl or a picture disc or something, it does hide the dirt even better. So you'd be probably blown away. But yeah, it's super cool. It's fun. I'd recommend it. The only reason why I didn't keep the Crosley one is the rollers, which are plastic, and on both the spin clean and the Crosley one, it's a kind of a, if you were to look at it straight on, the roller straight on, the top is the top is indented a little bit like this, so that the record, if it hits up here, it kind of goes to the center. So the center of the, I can't hold my hand straight. The top is like kind of angled inward, if that makes sense. And then in the middle of the inward part is a rubber ring, so that it gets some traction. And for whatever reason, the rubber ring on the Crosley one wore out and fell off, broke or something. And it was just plastic on plastic. So I didn't like that as much as the spin clean rollers that the rubbers held on longer. So yeah, there you go. Thank you for your service, Steve. Much appreciated. My friends, it has been an hour, and I've really enjoyed it. I hope you have as well, whether you're watching live or the replay. We got a lot of stuff coming your way. Supposed to do a record player review this weekend, but I was so interested in this and comparing it that I didn't get around to doing that. I did this first. So if you haven't seen the CD player review, this is the cheapest CD player in the world, as far as I could tell. $10, less than $10, brand new. And I compared it with a direct feed sound test to a vintage 90s Sony CD player so you can hear the difference, because the way that the DAC is implemented on these is different than they used to do it. And I explain all of that in detail in the video. So have a enjoyable rest of the day for my friends in the United States as we observe Memorial Day. And thank you to all of the veterans for their service, and thoughts and prayers for the families and all the people that have sacrificed their lives for our freedom. With that, my friends, happy record hunting, and we will see you next time.